Hello everyone, this is NIMRA Khan and I welcome you all to this classic show on PTV World. Well, I hope you guys are doing really good because it's Sunday and holiday and everyone is enjoying at their home. This show is all about music, art, culture, literature and last but not the least, creativity. So without wasting any time, we have an amazing guest today in our studios. He's a known personality. He did a lot of work in Urdu literature and he's the best fiction writer and drama writer as well. So I welcome IRFAN AHMAD on the show. Welcome to our show. And I hope you are doing really good today.
Yes, I'm good.
So I just really wanted to ask you, what is fiction to you?
Basically, this is a communication, and of course, this is expression, creative expression, and it has an artistic craftsmanship on its own, and you have to learn. Basically, you have to be inspired by so many things, and this is very natural. Basically, this is very organic, and then. Because creative writing is not audience oriented usually, and you don't put your reader in your mind, and basically you write for your own self actually.
So it's not that hard for you, right?
No, it is. It needs practice. It needs some kind of course. It needs a training. It needs. It has some limitations. This is a short story basically, and you have to put the whole universe or the whole experience, which is at times a very wide experience, and you have to squeeze it in a story.
In a story, definitely. So you have done a lot like Urdu Afsana, short stories, theatre, screenwriting as well. So what made you do all that and what were your ideas for the writing and what inspires you the most?
Basically, I belong to a family where literature was very much adored. My maternal grandfather, my maternal uncle, and even my parents, they were all very literary persons. And literature and language and poetry, all these things were very fascinating when we were growing up.
Definitely.
So even in those days in educational institutions, so literature had a significance. Literary people had a significance. So it was very fascinating for me. My Nana, my maternal grandfather, he's a classic Punjabi poet, and he's very well known all over the world. Pir Fazal Hussain Fazal Gujarati, and my mamu, my maternal uncle, was also a Urdu poet and very well known, Khakan Khabar. And when during my childhood, when my mother, my father used to quote them before other persons, guests are coming and whatever. So it was very fascinating for me. Okay, so this should be a career of a person.
So I think this was in your genes. And you inherited it, and you just. So tell me, what was your first experience when you learned that your language had power, and I really wanted to become a writer, and it's my passion to do it?
I think when I was in. Actually, when I was in class 5 or 6, and I was 9 years old.
Quite early.
Yes. Basically, I used to read children literature,
novels,
literatures, and it's very fascinating, and I was very inspired, and I really wanted to be a writer. And I still remember that I used to write stories and I used to draw the sketches in accordance to that stories. So I developed even my drawing skills very well, and I also learned painting and landscapes.
Painting and art. So you're basically all in arts, and you know. So tell me that I heard that most writers are very emotionally strong. And they need time to focus, and they don't need any disturbance when they are writing, especially. So does the writing energize you or exhaust you sometimes? Like you're full of emotions and.
Yeah, basically, writer has to be emotionally strong, but it's not necessary he or she should not be emotionally biased.
Oh, that's important.
So my emotions, my personal emotions should not be depicted in my creative work.
Okay.
It depends on the story, or it depends on the point of view, or the perspective, or the approach, or the treatment of a certain piece of literature. Because the writer has to be unbiased and neutral. He has to see the characters or the word or the life from God's point of view, basically.
Definitely, because you need to take care of everyone. Who is
Just like a photographer,
Yeah.
because he or she is not in the frame.
Okay. Yeah.
When he has a click, so he or she is not supposed to be in the frame. So the writer is not supposed to be in. But there is hermetic points. Writer can't avoid his or her perspective or ideology or political.
Definitely, definitely.
But again, it should be a deliberate effort not to be in your creative work.
Creative work, definitely. So tell me that what other than writing you wanted to pick as a career? Do you think of something else other than writing, or just the writing? And you were so focused that you don't want to do anything else?
No. I did my master's in public administration, and I joined banking, and I worked there for 13 years, and then I opted for golden handshake because I never related myself with the banking career.
Okay.
And I used to read life stories of great writers. So I just wanted to be to adopt a profession which is my passion.
Okay.
And
I think that's a really good thing, to follow your heart wherever you go and whatever you do in life. So
and now my work is not work, actually. It's I enjoy it when I.
And it's good that you enjoy your passion and your work, so that this makes it more interesting, I think. Definitely.
Yeah, it's interesting, it's energetic, and you feel a sense of achievement. But at times, to run your kitchen, to earn money, you have in your commercial writing, you have so many compromises you have to do. You have to that has to be your viewers oriented, audience oriented, and contemporary trends, which are dictated by the marketing people. So you have to follow all those things, but again, you have to be mechanical for your commercial writing.
Oh, definitely,
So,
that's the point. Also, I heard that the writers spend hours and days and nights and even months on some specific topic they wanted to write. So, how many hours you spend a day just writing something for?
Basically, it depends. At times, I have to spend 8 hours.
8 hours.
But listen, the writing time maybe in half an hour or 2 hours out of those 8 hours.
Okay.
You have to.
And 8 hours you take for just thinking and.
Yes, you have to actually you have to switch over to another trance, and you have to build up an energy. You have to cut off yourself
from the world.
So at times it takes time, 1 or 2 hours, and then.
Okay, just to come in that form, and then you have to write whatever you feel like writing.
You have to be in a certain momentum, in a certain trance.
Okay.
To be fluent in your writing.
Fluent in your writing. So tell me that how important it is to do research before writing a book, especially because book needs a lot of focus and the proper planning to be written in. So how important it is to do proper research?
It is really very important. The homework or the pre-creative work, pre-writer work you have to do. At times it is research based, at times it is experience based.
Experience based.
And most of the time it is observation based, and you have to feel, you have to live those characters, you have to go through the whole irony or misery or pleasure, whatever.
Whatever the characters are feeling in the book.
It's just like meditation.
Oh, definitely.
And then you can actually, because your work tells, it proves that is this organic, genuine, or you just have to pretentious in it. You can't afford to be pretentious.
Definitely, because you have to write something and specifically. So tell me that books are, very much into people's life, and so how hard it is today in a modern world. People don't buy books and they just don't have time to read it at times. So how hard it is to write something which is very interesting so that people go to the market, buy it, and especially take time out and read it?
There is always two kinds of literature. It's a popular literature, and the other is serious literature. We can say it's not very popular. So the literature that I try to produce has its exclusive audience.
Okay.
And there's popular literature even in our Pakistan, and you must have heard so many names, and if you Google Pakistani literature, so you will get the names of most of these women writers who write commercial novels and writings, and they are very popular, and they earn a lot of money. And their novels are adapted for television dramas and
as well.
They have their certain following of readers and viewers. They're very popular, and but I'm not into popular literature of that type. But my circle is pure literature, and it has always been the literature and classic arts are always have their exclusive audience. So
that's your uniqueness in writing, I think. So have you ever designed your own book cover or something?
No, my friends, he's a graphic designer. He always designed my books cover, but of course he takes me.
As you have creativity in your mind and you learned arts as well, so there's a specific things related to your story in the book. So you wanted to design that out in like as a book cover?
So as a writer, the aesthetics has to be very strong.
Very strong, definitely.
And this is an artistic presentation
of your
ideas. So it needs artistic packaging.
Definitely.
Of course. So of course it's I am very much in the loop of the designer. When he designs, he actually produces 2-3 options.
And then you select one, and then you want to change something, you can easily change. So also tell me that how it is important to write a very specific sort of title for the book. So do you relate it to your story, or you pick something which is like different and it express your whole idea in the book?
Usually tradition is that the title of compilation of short stories is usually one of the titles of the story. Is selected as the title of the book. But in my both books, I have actually inspired the title from my stories, not the title of the story basically. So this was idea of my publisher actually, and of course my designer, my publisher, after going through my stories, they get some inspiration, and then they make the outlet.
Teamwork, and you guys sit and decide, because it's really important. Your name is written there, and it will be published, and everyone will be attracted by the name of the book. So I think
it has to be an appeal factor, and people should be attracted to the title and the design. And it has some kind of a very subtle commercial aspect in a way.
Definitely. So few people criticize books, and their reviews are not that good. So does that affect you, like when you read all the reviews, the criticism towards your books, or it's just normal to you, and you try to bring something which is more likable by the audience? Or?
No. As I told you, that the creative work is never ever supposed to be audience oriented. And literary criticism is something a different thing, and criticism is very important for the upbringing, for the growth of the writer, and for to spread his work. And there is importance of critiques in literature, of course, and people have reviewed my books in magazines, in newspapers, in literary papers. So it's very important.
for, you know.
And criticism for literature is always very constructive.
Okay.
It's not a negative kind of criticism.
It's for your own betterment. And, you know.
betterment.
So how you felt for the first time when your, you know, whatever you have written was selected for the play or for the drama or for the theatre?
Of course, it is very exciting moments, and I really wanted to be on the screen,
big screen.
on the screen, and big screen. I have written feature films these days.
I have done a lot of research on you, and you have done so much.
So now my film will be released next year, inshallah. So it's really fascinating to see your name as a writer or a script writer on the screen.
It's a big thing. It's a big thing and you are supporting and, you know, giving a part of you to the Pakistani industry, and I think that's really nice to know that because we need good writers for our dramas and for our films with very unique ideas because people are getting bored of the routine, you know, dramas and their stories. So we need someone to pick a very different topic and then to present it. So I think that's your uniqueness, and we are looking forward for the film as well.
But unfortunately, in private sector, you must have observed a monotony in the topics and the themes of dramas, which are mostly, I'm not gender biased, but it's a woman-oriented
women
kind
empowerment,
of,
people talk about.
Women empowerment is good thing, but the self-pity or the morbidity of women is to commercialize, to commodify the morbidity of a woman is the oppression of the woman is not good. So unfortunately these days in private sector, so themes and topics of drama serials are almost the same.
So if you would change something in that, what would be that thing?
Basically, we in these days drama serial is not a one-man show.
Definitely.
So there are so many stakeholders, is producers, marketing people, financiers, director, producer. So it is a teamwork, and people like me who have a background of literature, so their treatment, their flavor is literary at times. So that is the uniqueness, that is the unique selling point, you can say. So, but somehow I communicate myself in a way or in a subtle way or in the subtext. I do my job.
So, do you write? Do you like writing books for someone? You know, other than whatever you have decided to write as a writer for the readers. Does someone say that write something for me specifically?
No, this I would write for someone if it's a commercial project, and if it's a good salary is offered, so I will do. But writers write for others, and it depends on the topic and the genre of the book. So if I get any offer and it really appeals me and it belongs to me, so I will. Definitely.
So when your fans come to you and they say that just sign your book for us, so how you feel at that moment? Because obviously you have spent a lot of hours on writing something, and then finally people come and buy your books, and then they ask you to sign it. So how you feel internally? What were your feelings at that time when you were?
I feel really good, and I feel sense of achievement and a success in a way. And because we used to watch, we used to observe others when our senior writers used to sign their books for us, and it was really fascinating in those days. And now I am signing my books for others, so it's really good. And you feel very good when you come to know that people really
love the idea,
and they read, especially the young lot, if read your books, and there is a readership of your book. So usually Urdu prose has a very low readership, so it's a tragedy, because only 500 copies of books are published as a first edition, and then it's 1,000.
And then they increase.
Then they increase, and you can see it's we have the population of, I think, 20.
Yeah, sort of like that.
Sort of. And if your book is published only for 1,000 copies,
That is
so
quite
it's
less.
no, quite less.
So I think that they should be published more in number so that everyone can get a chance to read it. Sadly, people don't take time out to read something which is good. They just have to sit in front of the TVs and enjoy themselves. But I think reading is the best because you learn different things. And do you pick social topics for your writing?
Of course, but now since this digital technology is very popular these days, so the digital or the e-copy of the book is really, it has an outreach to the audience. And in social media and on the websites.
You can get full books on the social media and you can read
the websites. And now Urdu books are also available on websites, and it's going to be very popular. And these days people are more into Roman Urdu. Because of this social media.
I think sadly people are more focusing on that, but I think the pure Urdu language is the best because you need to learn new things in that, and specifically word meanings, etc. So I think through you people will understand better what is pure Urdu and how it is written.
And I think in our school's curriculum, the government or the private sector has to think over it that the students in early classes, they should learn Urdu and they should read and they should be fluent in Urdu reading, basically.
And this will help young generation as well because many of the writers are now coming and they want to write for films and for plays in a very creative way. So what are the key points you can suggest them to be a good writer, or to be more focused towards writing?
I think first of all the idea has to be very organic and genuine and original.
Okay.
Whatever you have an idea in your mind, you just write it down. You just document it on the paper.
You can write the points.
No, how it flows, how it comes, you just write it down. And when you finish the first draft of your writing and you go through it after 2 days or even after 1 hour or 3 days, and you come to know how to improve it. So it's a self-learning process, and you will keep on rewriting the same thing, and it will be improvised.
Okay. So that's the whole procedure.
Basically, writing is the exploration of truth. The thing that you really want to know, you should write it, and then you explore it and you discover it later on.
So, do you think that the young generation has the ability to become good writers and good drama writers and also fiction writers as well?
Of course, all these things are, I think, natural aptitudes. Genetically, everyone, I think, inherits creativity. And but I think schools and educational institutions must encourage students.
Because now they are offering drama classes as well, and also young generation is being strongly supported to write dramas and creative writing, as I can say. So tell me more about screenwriting.
Screenwriting is basically is a very technical writing, and it has its commercial elements. It has a technique. It depends. The contemporary trends have to be incorporated in screenwriting, and you have to be very alert, extremely contemporary when you're writing for the screen. And it has to be audience and viewers oriented. It has its commercial aspects, and you have to be very compromising when you write for the screen. Because duration is a very important thing. At times the story is of 25 minutes, but you have to spread it for 25 hours. Because these days we write 26 episodes of 40 minutes each.
So you give details in it.
And we have to detail. We have to, at times we have to drag it. We have to create the tracks and the characters. And again, you have to keep in your mind doability of the certain things, and the budget constraints are always there. So it is a very mechanical and technical kind of
And
thing.
also tell me something about Urdu Afsana, because a lot of the new generation don't know about it. So I think through you they can know the details of Urdu Afsana.
Urdu Afsana has its career in our literature, and it has a very strong tradition.
Okay.
Even prior to partition and after partition, we have very big names: Ghulam Abbas, Saad Hasan Manto, Ahmad Kasmi. There are so many, and Abdullah Hussain, Mustad Hussain Tarar, all these fiction writers, Ismat Chughtai, Quratulain, Haider.
Big names.
Big names. And then, of course, contemporary names: Rashid Amjad, Muhammad Atif Aleem, Manshayat. All these are contemporary names, modern names, Muhammad Hamid Shahid. So I think that young generation must have a connection with the literature. Contemporary literature, classical literature, just to explore their own identity, cultural identity, and their artistic identity, and to get the vision for their future plans.
As well.
Yes, and to know your society, to know the relationships, the individuality, and the individual freedom of expression. All these things are very important.
I think freedom of expression is the main thing, because when you have freedom to express something, then you can write good.
For your emotional well-being, for your psychological, social, and even biological upbringing. So the connection with the literature is very important.
Very important. So tell me that does writers have normal life like others? Because mostly people say that they don't have normal life, like the family life or the social life. So tell me about it, experience of yourself.
No, I don't think so. Unless they are not going through a very normal and routine life, how can they write?
Okay.
How can they capture the characters, the characterization?
But sometimes they are too much into the story and they don't have, you know.
But they get all those ideas from the society, from here and there, and after interacting the people.
Okay.
So it's very important, the relationship with the human beings, and they have to be part of the society.
Okay, so I think that's a myth or something.
Yes. No, if you, I think you mean to say that the traditional lifestyle or conventional lifestyle or unconventional lifestyle, every artist has to be unconventional something. You yourself is an artist, and you know, as being a designer, you have to be unconventional in so many things.
So many things you need to see. So what is success as a drama writer to you?
It's very...
because success is a big word.
Basically, these days, this rating system is very much popular.
Definitely.
And I think that decide. But I think if your drama serial is registered among the audience, so it is successful. Because these days, so many dramas are produced and aired.
Back to back, there's a line of dramas.
So in these days, if drama is being registered and people talk about it, so it means it's successful.
So that what matters to you most. So according to the many people, like dramas are more emotional nowadays. So do you have any interest writing some comedy or something like this?
I've written comedy, and comedy is again emotional. Basically, drama writing is expression of feelings, and you have to touch the souls.
Definitely.
You don't have to cater the intellect, unfortunately. And people just want to be entertained, and it has to be emotionally charged, though this is at times very negative impact.
Because people are so much involved in dramas, and they want to, and they just compare it with their lives.
And they want to relate with the characters, with the situations you are showing on the drama. and it has to be emotionally charged, it has to be feeling oriented and sentimental, and all these things are very important.
So we have your two books with us, and just I wanted to know something about these two amazing books. One is Paon,
Yes.
and the other one is Control Room. So I really like the title of this book.
I see.
So tell me something about this, because it's very, the picture on it is
basically,
very, you know.
basically this control room is the same control room that you have in your studios.
Okay.
And this story is, the title of the story is Off Air.
Oh.
And my publisher actually depicted this title, Control Room, because I have used this word in that control, which is about a talk show.
Okay.
So this is basically all this today's contemporary Urdu afsana has its political connotation at the same time.
Definitely.
So, so being a third world citizen in a country which belongs to third world country, and this after post 9/11 and this terrorism and oppression or all these things, capitalism, this consumerism. So all these elements are incorporated in the stories.
In the stories.
So it has a political element.
And I really like the color combination of it. It's very scientific, and you know. So can you tell us a little bit of the story inside this book?
Basically, there are, I think, 13 or 14 stories in this book. Yes.
Just
And
a little.
it's about relationships, characterization, situation. And most of the stories, even the media relates to media and show business, and the settings are in Pakistan, and even some stories have their setting in States and in Canada.
So everyone
because,
can read it from different fields, right? Okay, then we have next book, which is
This is my first book, Paon.
Paon, okay. So you dedicated this book to?
My parents.
And I think that's very emotionally attached to you. And I really liked the, you know, foot steps printed on it. And
this is my friend Musharraf Raza. He's a graphic designer.
Okay.
So he designed titles of the both books.
I must say he's a really creative person, because you know,
he's
he without reading the book, he just, you know.
No, but we went through the books and the stories, and then he was inspired, and then he designed.
And he designed really good. So tell me something about this one, as it was your first. And
yes. Basically, I started writing, and I started published in different literary magazines when I was, I think, 28, 29 years. So, in Islamabad especially, this is Islamabad and Pinti is known as Afsane ka Shahar, the city of short stories in Urdu.
Short stories, definitely.
Because we have very good, very renowned short story writers in this city, in the Twin City. So in those days, I was very regular in literary circles, and in Halkar Babizok is a very vital organization or society, and I used to read out my pieces over there, and it was criticized and reviewed on the spot. So it was a learning procedure. So my first book is a compilation of all those stories which it was published in different magazines, and it covers 10 to 15 years of my work.
Oh, that's definitely great.
So it has a variety of topics. Some are very controversial and of course shocking at times for people.
So it's very interesting to read. So I want you to sign these two books for me today.
Sure, sure.
And at the end, I would love to ask you that what advice you want to give to the young emerging writers, and how they can write good, and how they can make their name in writing, because it's, I think, the hardest to make a position nowadays, because you have a lot of people who are into writing, and you have a lot of competition. So what advice you can give to the young generation who are just interested to come to this
no,
field?
actually, I'm not an authority to advise them.
But still, you have a
No,
lot
no.
of experience.
Basically, what I would say that they should not go for any position. They should not pursue the popularity or the fame. They just need to create a passion for reading, for observing, and to live the situation, the life, and to absorb the things. And just like as you being a designer, so you have to keep on working. You don't need to see the results. You don't need to wait for the results.
Wait for the results.
So if you keep on working with dedication, so the result is not in your hands actually.
Okay. And then you will be at this level of writing something which is very interesting for the audience and the readers as well. So thank you so much for joining our show today, and we had a good discussion, very productive one. So inshallah, see you soon on next Sunday, and keep watching our show, keep supporting, and thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much. Inshallah, see you soon next Sunday. Allah Hafiz.